Pledge of allegiance, the flag's located right over here. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chris Buckman. Here. Carol Hathaway. Here. Larry Mangan.
Here.
Jason Newberry.
Here.
Liam Garber. Here. Tom Henning.
Here.
Pat Seaver.
Pat sent me a text earlier. She's actually at a game with her granddaughter, so she lets us know she was going to be here. But, hopefully they got some good luck tonight. So. Adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay. Recognition of patrons and staff. Adam, we got anybody? Nobody this evening. Okay. So moving on to our first discussion item. Looking back around the back row, looks like we got an FFA presentation. Yes, Linda?
Can we go
We'll
one
just,
more?
well, I sent it to Jen, Jen sent it to him, so we'll be good. We'll be good. We'll just do this.
Thanks for
It'll
all the
work.
work.
We'll make it work. We're used to it. So you should be getting, hopefully soon, from Jen, the actual pictures. The rest of you guys, sorry, you won't get to see them all as well. This is just a real quick little slideshow of the national convention trip. These guys are gonna hopefully do the majority of the talking, but I'll fill in where I need to. So it kind of goes in chronological order of some of the events that we saw, so.
We first started with the St. Louis Arch. That's when we first arrived. That was our first stop. We were super tired, but we went all the way up. We got to learn about the history of the making. They had this great big museum at the bottom, and we went through there, and unfortunately, we don't have as many pictures from that. But that was our first little trip, and we got to go up on the elevators in there and got to see very top. Got a little motion sickness. It sways.
Yeah.
What was a sway, do you remember?
It sways up to 9 inches both sides.
So it's up to an 18-inch sway, and she told us if we'd have been there October 11th,
Yep.
we would have gotten to have felt that 18-inch sway. The only time they shut it down is, do you remember?
Oh, goodness, no.
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes, yeah.
Yep, tornadoes, or I don't even think there was a certain wind speed, but just tornadoes was, she's like that, when we're under a tornado warning is the only time it shuts down. Otherwise, people are going up in there, you know, whenever they're open, which is crazy. So when we were there, it was like a 1-inch sway?
Yeah. But you
So
could still feel it.
You could feel it, but it was there. All right, next on our trip, maybe. Yeah.
We went to the Motor Speedway, and there we got to, we took a tour bus, a little tour bus, and it took us around all the tracks and showed us all the inside stuff. And then when we stopped and got out, we saw the original bricks at the start of the race, right? Yeah. And when we got to kiss it, and I had multiple videos of me kissing it, sending it to my dad. And then they had this cool little museum of all the cars that have won it and went through there before. And
What was your guys' takeaway from it?
Going
The
on the
Speedway?
tour bus, we were able to as the track was going around, it would get out of tilt,
Yeah.
and I would nearly fall out of my seat.
Yeah, so they got to go, what was it, some of the speeds are up to, I don't remember.
like over 200.
Yeah, it was over 200, but we were going around on the tour bus at what, 20? I
Yeah,
think is what he
20.
said, so, you know. But even that bank, it was crazy how steep that bank was, because, you know, nobody's kind of ready for that.
And then we went to Hunter's Honey Farm. This was a really unique experience. They had over 500 hives there, which many of them had been moved because it was getting colder. But we got to experience how beekeepers take care and manage their hives, how the honey is extracted from the hives and processed, and how they bottle it too. And we actually got to take home each a little jar of honey.
They got to bottle their own honey, and it was pretty cool. Pretty neat, because this is something that we just got alfalfa planted in the back of our field. And so this is something that the students are really excited about possibly starting a few hives back there so that the bees can take all of that alfalfa clover and make honey out of it. So something that they really, this was one that they really paid attention to because they, they're really interested in how everything got set up and how to do all of that so that they could hopefully do it here. Okay.
We then went to Ozark Fisheries. This was probably one of my favorite. So I never knew that goldfish and koi were farmed in such large quantities. They had thousands upon thousands of goldfish and koi there. And they had like individual tanks, and they separated them by like size and gender, and they raise and breed these goldfish and koi and sell them around the nation. And we actually got to see some of the goldfish and koi and
Didn't you
reach
catch one?
in the tanks.
Yeah, you get. Didn't you get?
And I caught a koi.
And then dropped it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, don't squeeze it. She's like, okay. So we got a concussion instead. So,
We were like both soaking wet because we were shoulder deep in the fish tanks trying to catch koi, but
Like fish for our next ride.
Yeah, so the picture there is of the girls. They're soaking wet in their officer shirts, but they had a great time. It was a beautiful day to be out for our tours too. We were really super lucky on that aspect. So that night, I thought I had pictures of it in here, but that or I've gone past it. Maybe not. We'll go back. I may have them somewhere else. So this is going into the next day. We drove down to Louisville, Kentucky. There's a lot of things to do around Indianapolis, but I'm a big fan of Louisville, Kentucky, and a couple of the different things that we got to do there. So anybody want to take Louisville down?
So we went to the Kentucky Derby, and we actually got to go inside and see all the stables, and we went into the actual like stands, and we got to see like the racetrack, and they were actually cleaning it up. Weren't they having a race?
Yeah, they were getting ready for, they are holding races, just, not the big stake races, but the different races. The cool part for me was that this was the first time, I've been on this trip several times and this tour, but this was the first time that they actually allowed us to walk on the track that leads out to the track. So it's this special padded flooring from the stable areas out to the track. So we actually got to walk where every Kentucky Derby horse has ever walked
Yes,
And they
before.
went into the winner's circle, not the.
we weren't able to get into the actual Kentucky Derby winner circle because you can't step foot in there unless you actually win the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
But they host smaller races there at Louisville Downs, and we were able to get in that winner's circle and take some pictures.
And then we went to the museum, the bottom. We got to pretend gamble on some horses, and we went and we saw the movie of like the start of the race during the day, and it's a long week process.
And they
All
had,
the people that are coming in.
yeah, they had history like on some of the famous winners, such as like Secretariat. They had all the history on every Kentucky Derby winner, like as far back as the Derby went.
And then we went to Louisville Slugger, the manufacturing, and we actually got to get our own little bats that they made, and we got to see all the...
That did worry me because this was only day 3 of the trip, and I was just arming every single kid with a 1.5-foot bat, so.
And we got to see, like, the first picture on the left, we got to see all the bats, like the Babe Ruth people, like they get to select what kind of bat, what kind of wood they want, and we got to see how it's made.
So in this slide, all of the bats are made with CNC machines, and so it was 30 seconds for them to go from a billet, which is just a round piece of wood, into a bat, and hone it down to a certain style. Each batter, in the one picture, you can see the little cubby holes. Each batter or player from a different team who signs with Louisville Slugger gets their own little cubby hole. They get to choose their style of bat, everything from the grip to the end to just the wood, everything. And so they get to pick out the actual pieces of wood themselves. And then they put them in there. And then, when we were there, Adam Duvall from the Braves, his bats we actually got to watch some of his bats being cut. So it's kind of cool to be able to watch that whole process. We had our baseball players, well, you're a softball player.
Oh, yeah. They had at the end, they had a batting cage. You got to pay like $2 for and they just kept going. They just kept pressing the button, and I got to use some of their bats.
They had a fun time. They went and they had a pretty good time with that, so.
Then we went to Hoosier Downs Racing. So this was we did this at night, and it was a standard bred racing track. So that's when the jockey is actually on a cart that is behind the horse. And so we got to watch the racing, and we did that along with the dinner. So we were eating and getting to watch horse racing at the same time. And actually afterwards, one of the races, we got the opportunity to take a picture with one of the most well-known jockeys in standard bred racing. He was ranked 3 in the nation.
He's number 2 in the nation.
2 in the nation.
Number 1 at the Hoosier Down Parks, number 2 in the nation, and his brother is number 1. And so what's cool about this particular jockey though is that he is number 2 in the standings in the nation. He only races at Hoosier Downs. He doesn't race anywhere else or travel. His brother travels on the East Coast to several different racetracks. So he has more opportunity to actually go and compete and ride for people, whereas his brother is only at one track. So you can tell he's a pretty good jockey if he's number 2 in the nation, only at one track. But we got to have our picture taken with him. What was it since January? Was it 2.1 million that he's won in purse money? Since January of this year, and this year isn't even finished yet. And so he basically gets 10% of that, 2.1 million. I was like, maybe you signed up to be jockeys, new career. But was really cool because like I said, Harrah's and Hoosier Downs treated us great. They let us go out there. They, let us get in there for a real quick win photo with that particular jockey. That happened to be the only race that he was in that night. So it was kind of really super cool that he won and that we had all that cool things. And each one of the kids got one of those pictures that's right in the middle as a little souvenir. So it's pretty cool to be able to go and do that. So now convention time.
In our opening ceremony at National Convention, we got to hear a seminar by the Fancy Cowgirl.
Fancy Cowgirl lady.
And it was really inspiring because she was saying how agricultural, some people don't necessarily come from ag backgrounds or grow up on a farm, but that does not mean you can't be involved in agriculture and make a difference. And she gave her whole story about how in the beginning of her media career, how she was unhappy with being with the Hollywood type news and wanted something that related more to her ag background. So then she did bull riding.
Right. She worked for RFD TV, and she is a Kansas girl. Actually, so she was born and raised here in Kansas. She rodeoed all her high school career, and then she worked for RFD TV, and then she finally landed what she considered one of her dream jobs and dream locations was?
Well, she raised
New York City.
Yeah, New York City, yeah.
But in New York City, they told her, get rid of the cowboy hat. That's stupid. We don't wear those here in New York. And so she was just like, nope. So she was modeling and she was reporting. And so she went against everything. and that kind of killed her career for a while.
Yeah.
But then she just kind of fought back. So you can hashtag her on a lot of things. You can find her on Snapchat and Instagram, but she is a fancy cowgirl lady. And so it's really pretty cool. She was a great speaker.
Yeah, and now she raises bucking bulls too.
Mhm.
And one of her young bulls, she was saying, is like rising to one of the top in the nation.
And then we got to go to a rodeo that night, was that? And we got to watch all these, they were competing. It was the world's toughest rodeo.
Right.
That's what it was. And there was these two teams competing against each other. And weren't they in college?
Some of them were in college. Some of the riders were in college. Some of the riders were older pro rodeo type. And so this here was a series that was going on. But the cool thing about it is this rodeo, kind of give you an idea. There were 70,000 FFA members and guests there in Indianapolis. This rodeo was sold out for 3 nights in a row. It was only open to FFA members and advisors. Those are the only people who could buy tickets to this rodeo. There was nobody from even Indianapolis was basically allowed to even buy a ticket to get in. So it's pretty cool, pretty fun. They saw some other things, some trick riders.
Yeah, one of Dolly Parton's writers.
So pretty cool, pretty fun, different. The Career Expo.
Oh my goodness. We got to have you guys seen How to Cowboy on Netflix? Dale Brisby? No. Oh my gosh. There was a big circle around him during convention. I probably spent an hour waiting to take a picture with him. And that's where I was for an hour straight, just trying to get a picture with him. But definitely watch it on Netflix. It's really good. And they had these cool little stations set up where you can go and visit. And it was all these businesses talking about like
Ducks Unlimited was
Ducks
there.
Unlimited was there, and you could sign up, and they gave you like scholarship opportunities. And it was a bunch of these companies that came there and were seeking out like and exposing their jobs and their companies.
There was like so many colleges there. Like nearly every college that had an agricultural based program was there trying to promote their schooling and their college. So it gave me like a lot of opportunities to see different colleges from different locations and to see what colleges like best fit me and my interest.
There was about 175 colleges there from all across the U.S. So it was pretty fantastic for these kids. They spent several hours just going through the Career Expo to see all the different things. The one picture on there is the girls enjoying their Culver's ice cream because Culver's gives away free ice cream. Yes, and so that line was about as long as the Dale Brisby line. So this was another general session that we went to. And so you can kind of see there what somewhat of 70,000 kids looks like when they're all in a small group. But it was crazy. In the general section here, they were giving away awards and recognizing different chapters from all across the country for their awards that they had received. So this was really good because this kind of got these guys too thinking about, well, we should be up there. What can we do to do that? And so it really started a whole lot of great conversations on what are some things that we can do? We can do that. You know, they were comparing themselves. We do that. We do this. Why, we need to get recognition for this. So, and then they met kids from all over the country. So there's some jackets that, they were kind of taking and going and getting pics up next to some of the different kids that they had met from different places. And now we're finally on the way home.
And then we went to the World of Wonder Aquarium. This is located in the Bass Pro headquarters in Springfield, Missouri. It's an absolutely huge aquarium that has almost every type of fish imaginable. They have like sharks in there that are like probably 6-8 foot long. sea turtles, everything.
When I first called, they said, plan on spending at least 3 hours. And I was like, high school kids, into the trip. Yeah, they'll be lucky to spend 45 minutes in there. It's a museum of fish. So I said, in an hour, start texting me. If you're done, send me a message. Hey, I'm done. So an hour went by, not a word. Hour and 15 went by, not a word. Hour and a half went by, not a word. Hour 45. Hey, we're going to go over to the other museum and look at all the other wildlife. Oh my goodness. Of course, I was at the end of all that, but I couldn't believe it that, it was an hour and 45 minutes had passed before they finally, started to emerge just from the aquarium section. So it was pretty neat too. Then we went to Lambert's Cafe. So
their signature thing.
kiddos really worked their tails off memorizing things. Bailey did a fantastic job because she was actually named master secretary, which that would mean all the secretaries in the 20-some chapters, they felt that she had presented it the best. And so she won master secretary. We went to employability skills next. Employability skills, this is something that every kid needs to be able to do. They turn in a resume, a cover letter, they create a job description, I think is the best way to put it. Then they do a job interview, they fill out a job application, and they do a follow-up letter or a thank you letter after their interview. And so the top 3 individuals go on to state, and so we were super lucky. Bailey did a fantastic job. She took 3rd place, so she's going to be going to state in the spring or June-ish, I'm not sure, May or June. Matt Price took 5th place overall. There were 47 kids in that, and Caitlin was in the top 15. So I was super excited with the way those 3 kiddos did at the employability. We did ag sales that same day, so Matt and Bailey were super busy. They had made it into the finals in 2 different categories, and so they were literally running from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor and running around. In ag sales, we had the 1st place team. And when I say 1st place, I've never been so excited. Our score was a 909. The next score, the 2nd place, and I just have to brag, is 790. So these guys really did a good job. They sold it, literally. Matt Price was 1st place, and then 2nd was Bailey. So that team is also moving on to state. So it was pretty cool. So this was kind of fun. Our middle school ag academy, we went to that. We had 55 8th graders out of the 71 that are currently enrolled here at the middle school attend. We wrangled 55 middle schoolers. They actually were great. I was really surprised. Their team took 10th place out of 20 teams that were there that day. We had Adeline Rains, who placed 3rd overall. There was over 400 students there from middle schools across the South Central District. So, again, I thought that was amazing and awesome that the kiddos did that well. So they take the top 4 scores and make that into a team score. So that was pretty exciting that we got to be able to do that. But these guys went along with, like I said, I took the officers along to kind of help keep the kids, entertained on the bus and under control. And like I said, the kids did a fantastic job. We set up lunch, we bought pizza and soda, and they lined up and ate, and they just did everything great. And we picked up the park, and it was a fun day.
Yes,
so I think the kids really liked it. They're going to get ready now because they have a second opportunity in the spring to go and compete again. So when they found that out, they were kind of a little bit more excited now to kind of look forward to the next trip, so they get to go on. So that's that. You guys have any questions? We didn't want to take up too much time, but we did. So. And then you guys got your Louisville Slugger pens. So a little souvenir, brought that back for you. Not as big as their bats, but they'll last a pretty long time. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great job. Okay, looks like the next item on our agenda is Hibbs Hooten bathroom project.
Yes, so the district has been approached, Chris Gregg is here this evening, and the district has been approached recently about a possible joint funded project to renovate some of the things going on at the baseball field. Interested in putting the city and the Grand Trust, and they've also reached out to the district, all who are members who use the facility throughout the year. And they're interested in putting in an ADA accessible bathroom facility outside of the stadium. There are some drawings that were put into your packet for you to look at. So the request from that group, it's looking like it's about a $150,000 project. The request to the district is to chip in about $25,000 of that. Obviously, we use that yearly for our baseball program, and so our patrons are in and out of there all the time. And then obviously our students are supported by other community programs that use that as well. So Chris is here this evening. If you have questions for him regarding the information that he has submitted to the board for this request. Anything you want to add to that, Chris?
Oh, not necessarily. Somebody has some questions.
Any questions for Chris on any of that, or?
Chris, is it gonna be similar to the one at 9th Street?
The drawing that you have there is yes, it's the same as the one that we did, that our organization did at 9th Street, for the concession stand will still be inside the stadium. That'll give room to expand the concession stand and take the restrooms out of the concession stand area and put them outside. But beyond the bathrooms being 40+ years old and gross,
Yeah.
the concession stand nor the bathrooms, nothing about it meets ADA, which the board here faces that challenge in their facilities too, all over the city. That's one of the big deals, plus just getting it upgraded. The city had some funds that they appropriated back 6 or 8 years ago. They're looking to add to those funds. And this project that we feel pretty strongly about. I'm with the organization Blowing to Baseball that did most of the work. We did facilitated the deal at 9th Street. So we're willing to participate in that, help out and manage it and see that it gets done.
And you had said something about once the bathrooms are built, then you're renovating the concession stand. You'd be able to renovate within there also because the old bathroom space would be able to be utilized.
Yes, the concession stand isn't ADA accessible either. The window's too high. It's not, for employees or for staff or for patrons. There's not enough room in there. There's not storage in there to expand that. And I think the rec probably they're totally in favor of probably helping out with the project also. That makes that a lot more workable space for them. The high school benefits that does the concession. I'm not sure. Do they hire the rec now?
I think the rec does the concessions are in the high
The rec does the concessions for the high school now too, and then they get a portion of the funds. The high school gets a portion of the funds off of that. Is that correct? I hate to speak personally what I don't know about, but.
So this will be kind of a city project with the district contributing towards it, maybe the rec department too.
I think the rec will probably, there's their equipment in there. I think there'll be some upgrading of the equipment. There'll be some costs involved there for that too. I can't speak for Cody. He's got to take this before his board before he can say, what they can do. But I think they'll be good to participate. They participated in the 9th Street project. They'll participate in this, I'm sure.
Well, I think it's one of those, it benefits our kids not only during the school year, but after the school year, and we host, I say there are people who come from all over, other states that come for those games. 25,000, they're asking us to contribute, I think is reasonable. It's one of a kind facility, and the things that are outdated definitely need to be upgraded. I thought the plans looked very good, Chris. In my opinion, we should approve it.
Adam, you mentioned, and I'm sorry I forgot what you said, the total project cost is expected to
Be 150,000.
150.
This is about 16%, I believe, something like that, of the project.
I think to add to what Ms. Hacker said was, John brought up, I think that, or was it Jeremy said that this is the most used facility that Wellington has?
Yeah, I think Jeremy.
One of the most used facilities. Starts with high school baseball in spring and lasts clear through August. And it's about one of the last facilities in the restroom. Yeah, it's all a mess.
And being someone who's used the restrooms and been in the concession stand trying to work in that, it needs improvement.
Chris, where do you see the time frame on this? When are you looking to start?
Well, when we first started talking about this project, Luke this has been something that's been ongoing for a couple of years. We've been trying to get something going. When Luke came to me, he kind of helped get things, Smith got a spark of a push to help get things going again. He would like to have the bathrooms for high school baseball. That could be possible, weather permitting. Just depends on what kind of winter that we have. It could be possible, it could not.
2022 baseball?
Yeah.
Wow.
If not, it would be, I'm sure it would be done before high school baseball is completed. Now, I can't guarantee that it would, that's not a guarantee. I'm gonna oversee the project, there'll be subcontract people to take care of that. It'll be similar to like how we did it at 9th Street. We don't handle any of the funds, it's all through the city. It'll all be paid out in that way. We just facilitate and see that it all get done. And then we won't be able to do the concession stand restroom until remodel till after the baseball season. But some people that donated a good portion of some donation money, their priority is to see that the concession stand gets done too, and they want that completed in 2020. So the entire project will be completed in 2020.
Any question? Clear?
Just a suggestion, we could, instead of just saying 25,000, we could do a percentage or 25,000 up to 25,000. That way, if it does run less, the school district doesn't pay the whole 25,000. Just an idea.
This is in discussion item, so I don't know, are you looking for anything tonight on it, or?
It's up to the board. This is the first time it's been able to come up since we just talked about this with Chris and Luke. Just the only issue is with the new board starting next month, we would be pushing probably decisions off so that the new board members could hear this again into February. That's the only issue. But that is fine. It's regardless if the board is. If the board's comfortable, obviously they can move forward. If not, then we can continue talking about this with the new board and push to January, February.
So how long, if this decision was delayed, how long would that, is it a direct reflection of the project, or realistically with winter, it probably wouldn't affect it? So if we waited to vote on this till January meeting, would that delay the timeline of the project?
Well, I haven't got a good answer to that yet.
Okay.
The city has funds that they encumbered, so those funds are available. And one of the donations that we have, that money would be available. So the restrooms could get started, could proceed without these other funds. Some of the.
Did you say you haven't got a commitment from WRC on funds yet?
Not on fund, no, I do not have a commitment on that. I can't.
Sure.
I can't speak, but they, I think they're at a board meeting, they're gonna discuss some of it tomorrow, I believe. But, more of their funds would be more towards the concession. I can't say what they'll do.
So you said that you do have funds to get started then on this without the school coming in? Because my thing is I would rather wait for the new board members to come on board and look at this since it's going forward. So if you have money to get it started, then we're looking at a month, 2 months for us to approve.
Right.
Yes. Is that correct?
There's money, I have to defer to Jason on this because I don't know city money, I don't know board school money. There's money already appropriated for this project. There's not enough. Then there's some money that they're looking at, the city's looking at putting in on the project also from another source. That it has not been, it's been talked about, has had a consensus, but not voted on, approved.
So the city hasn't approved anything for this project, or they haven't for this project?
I believe there's funds allocated to take care of a portion of it. I don't know that it's gonna cover the entire project, but there's funds that are allocated for a portion of it.
So the project's been approved by the city, correct?
It was in the budget.
It was a project that they had looked at
Correct.
6 or 8 years ago, and they started appropriating funds for it. They do have, I think it's about not like $57,000 appropriated for funds.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily my wheelhouse at the city, but the way I understand it is, I mean, the ADA issue is the biggest issue that they're wanting to address. And same thing that we're feeling at the school board, we gotta make sure we're meeting those ADA standards, so I think that's the main reason the city's focusing on, is to take care of the ADA issue.
Well, I'd rather wait for the new board members myself, so.
Part of the money, the private foundation that's giving us substantial money also, their deal was they wanted the whole project, so the whole project had to be funded in some way. But, the restrooms could possibly get started if it's the city's request. It's up to me, I can dig footings tomorrow, but I can't do that. We'll just facilitate the project for them.
Yeah. So I guess unless I hear otherwise, it's in discussion items, so we can all kind of think about it and maybe bring it back next meeting. Okay. I guess I would ask that maybe if you can, Adam, get with the incoming board members and maybe get them up to speed on this a little bit, so maybe they can feel comfortable voting on it. At next meeting. Yeah, and that would maybe speed up the timeline a little bit for Chris, so things can get done. And if not, then we'll discuss it again and go for February.
Will do.
Is that okay with everyone? Does that sound
Yeah.
like a plan?
Because I do think that the 150,000 is probably about right.
Yeah. The material prices, I'm sure Chris has seen this, they're going up.
Oh, yeah, material is it's just crazy right now. If you can get it, it's high.
Yeah.
But material, and I don't really foresee it going down. I mean, we're waiting on material for a project. City's waited 8 years now, and they're $60,000 they first appropriated, might have been close 8 years ago, but it's nowhere within sight
Sure.
now. And, the $50,000 was the number that I came up with for the city and for the people that are donating money. We don't know what all we're gonna get into when we get into the concession stand area, so I tried to allow for everything, so, I think I feel comfortable with with that number. It would be not to exceed that.
It needs to be done. I mean, we've been
It's
non-compliant with ADA
Yeah.
at the ballpark all this time.
That's a big issue.
There's no more questions? Thanks,
Okay,
Chris.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Keep that train of thought, football stadium bleacher renovation.
Yes, So this is a topic that has come up with parents and our student body over the last couple of years. Just now making it to the board level, have some special education funds that are allocated for this. And so essentially what happened several years ago is the district made our home football bleachers ADA accessible. And the way they did that is they put ramps on either side and basically made the very center section of the football stadium with the platform that is available for walking and mobility, any patron or student with mobility issues. And so what has happened over time is our student body and parents have reached out to us and really have encouraged us to extend that throughout the entire home bleachers. I've gotten some amazingly written letters from some students that were just advocating for their fellow student body, and it's just really impressive when you get some of those and listen to the kids advocate for themselves. So essentially, that has been a topic for a while. Daniel, working with Wendy and Darcy on special education funds, have allocated some money to do this project if the board is interested. But essentially, got 3 bids on the project. The lowest bid for $49,237 is from the original company that put in the original platform that's in the center there. If we extended it out, this would allow the student body to sit with their student sections, and currently on football game nights, either students that use a wheelchair or have other mobility issues typically sit either in the middle section away from the other student body, or sometimes they sit down on the concrete down below. And it would be great if we could get it so that they're able to access the student body at the same time. So I know our student body wants that, and I know our students want that. So this is coming to you now that the funds have been found to pull this off and to extend that across. If you look at most football stadiums, anywhere you go, that you walk up a ramp on one side of the platform, you walk all the way down and down a ramp on the other side. And so essentially we would be matching up our stadium with what you see in most other communities. So, questions on that?
Questions on that? Larry?
I remember this was, I looked it up, December of 2014 when we did this. And of course, at that time, we didn't have any accommodations for wheelchair students, so it seemed like a good idea at the time to do what we did, but in hindsight, maybe we should have, but didn't know in 2014.
Sure.
So I think it's a good thing. Why are we using special ed funding? I mean, you could kind of rationalize special ed funding even to the ball field project. I mean,
you could, yeah.
But it seems more like it's a capital thing.
It is, and you could do this on a capital outlay. There's no reason not to. Daniel has some funds. I don't know if you want to speak to that, but Daniel has some funds in the special education that he and Wendy and Darcy had set aside to specifically support this.
Yeah, and so basically with SPED funds, you use at or above what you did the previous year. So in finding projects like that, this was something I had thrown out because I know we've been talking about it for a while, and I knew I would have that funding to do this. From a SPED perspective, why it would probably involve those funds is we've got about 15 to 20 students in the district with mobility needs. And so as those students graduate, they move out to our community, want to attend football games, graduation, different events. It just seemed to make sense coming out of SPED funds.
Is there some concrete work that we got to do as well?
There's possibly a little bit of concrete down on the north end, I believe, to add.
South end?
Or south end, I'm sorry, yeah, south end.
Square-
Down by the
just square it
restrooms,
off.
just because the concrete currently curbs in there. So we may have to add that for additional walking space.
Any other questions on that?
So I'm looking at the 3 bids, and did everybody bid on the same thing? because there's such a big discrepancy between bids.
The pricing?
Dollars.
Yeah, I agree. I think my understanding, and Kelly, you can speak to this as you know those companies, but, the company that put the bleachers in currently is able to connect onto their own system, and so that helps the price be lower on the one that, is the lowest bid there. But yeah, they all came out and, looked at the existing stadium, so they would have all be bidding on the same thing.
And they did a good job back in 2014.
Yeah, it seems well done.
Chris, just to kind of build on what Mr. Hatfield was saying, I actually had one company that I contacted to come down, and he specifically told us that I want your business, but the best people to do this is that original company that did that, because they're the ones that's going to be able to tie into it a lot easier, and you will see that their bid will be a lot lower. That's coming from another company.
Good question, Chris. Any other questions?
Again, you're probably not looking for a decision tonight, we're gonna.
This is just some discussion.
It's not gonna affect the timeline of the project.
Well, once we get on their, work list, then, so we put that off a little bit, but there's no expectations for any type of decision tonight, unless the board's comfortable as usual with the discussion item, so.
So the one bid addresses the global supply chain issue. So is that, they're talking about timing delays, but could that also lead to pricing variances?
Yeah, and that is one of the bad things about this, because most of them do only put the price there for a little bit, so we're gonna have to take that into consideration if we come back to vote on it in a month or what have you. So I'll get with them before the board meeting next month, see how much price has changed, if the supply is still there, and see if that affects the price, and I'll give those to you all.
I noticed the one quote was actually the only one that had the fabrication time, like the 18 to 20 weeks, and install time, but I don't see an installation time on the others, so. That would be coming out of the 2022 funding, right?
Probably. It depends on what, yeah.
Because we have to pay for it in that.
In that year, if it gets pushed, or we can work with our auditors to hold that back for the following year. If the board makes the decision this year, then we can allocate that money for the future budget.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Guess we'll revisit that one next month. Next item I have on the agenda is the USD 353 safety and operation plan.
Yes, this continues to be on here for board discussion. The district is not recommending any changes with that. It's set up as the board said it several months ago, and so we did let the community know that we would bring that up for any discussion the board wants to have on it each month. But there's no recommended changes from the district at this time.
Discussion on that?
Seems to be working fine.
We're recommended across the district right now.
Yes, correct, yes. And we're headed into Christmas break, so.
Right.
Yep.
This last week before Christmas break, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, next item on the agenda is restructuring.
Yes, in your packet, what we have done at the planning session at the end of November, the board was presented with all of the data that the district collected on the 15 different talks that we had, and so all that data has been available to you for a couple weeks. And so what we have done as far as the data itself, the qualitative data, is we have gone in and tried to summarize that into a more summarized document. We are interested in releasing that to the community. We did tell the community throughout those talks that we would be releasing that data at the end, so I want to be true to our word and do that. So we have that summarized on there. Kind of the main points that came through to there, both items, the plans that would actually fix the problems that we have addressed. And then there's also some sub-plans within that could be partial if combined with other plans in there. So wanted to get your feedback. If you feel like this is something that we can release with a statement to the community, just summarizing the semester and the different data that we have collected. And if there's anything that you wanted to add to that, so that we can feel like we communicated with the community.
So you would put this out to the community?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we would write a statement summarizing and then putting that out there as kind of a summarization.
I mean, I'm okay with everything being sent out, the data that's been collected. But I feel like we're coming to a point where I personally feel like a vote's gonna happen on something that I don't even know what's gonna happen. So like, I just look at it and go, so are we pushing more for a preschool? Are we pushing more to combine, to get rid of a school? I personally don't know what we're doing, so I'm very uncomfortable with proceeding because we can't say what we're wanting to offer. Are we wanting to do full-time preschool all day? Are we wanting to do half days? We're not talking about what we're wanting to do. So I'm very uncomfortable with where we're at.
Okay, so I am in no way anywhere near a vote on this at all. So that's not where this is at. Where we started was getting the qualitative data from the community, putting that together into these more generalized plans, and now what I would expect with the new board is for the board to express their opinion after we get our new board members going and everybody feels like they have some time, and maybe we need to have some more planning sessions to give more detail. Then we're able to pick some things that we're more interested in going into depth on detail with, so that you don't have that feeling. So I think that's where that's coming from. My opinion on where you're feeling that way is just because of the detail piece.
Yeah, because now I have people asking me, are you guys gonna close down Washington? Are you gonna open up a preschool? And I'm standing there going, I don't know, because I feel like we're all just kind of talking about something and moving in a direction, but not really knowing what's in the direction, and so I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, so and I get that, and so let's just based off of that statement, then let's get together and have another planning session so I can answer more questions. But essentially, everything you've heard is us trying to bring open a community discussion. It is not to make a decision quickly. And I've said that numerous times to the community because I don't want them to feel like this is a quick thing. I have said that I will be back out, with once the board talks about this a little bit more in depth, and we actually pick some things that we actually want to put some detailed plans to. Then those things also have to go back out to the community for discussion. So a vote or anything like that, or an anxiety for a vote, is not something that you should be stressed about at all. So, and I get where that's coming from, and I think that's the uncomfortableness with the beginning of this discussion, with some of the topics that have been brought up, which some of them are controversial depending on who you're talking to, just makes everybody uncomfortable in that way. But I've tried to express that is not what we're trying to do, is make a quick decision here at all. We're just trying to come up with as much community ideas. I feel like it is a huge change for our community, and therefore we are in the position where we can do all the work at this level, and everybody's frustrated because they don't feel like they got their say, or we can go out and talk to people and gather data, and that is more uncomfortable throughout the process, but I think the end result will allow everyone to feel like at least they felt like they were able to, put their ideas and visions within all of that. Does that make sense?
I think we just need to clarify what that indecision is. I feel like there's just so many things up in the air. I just feel like I'm looking and going, what are we doing? I mean, what are we really wanting? Are we really wanting that preschool? And, are we really wanting to combine to do, to consolidate these classes? And I'm just trying to really figure it out. So if I'm trying to do that and I have more information in the community, then I just feel that other people are thinking that as well.
Yep, and I know where you're at, and I think because of the general state that it's in, instead of the detailed state, that it definitely leads your brain down that direction. Such as, just like when we discussed it in community groups, when we discussed it at the town hall, people, like I said, in all those talks, people's brains immediately want to go to the details, and we're trying to get more of a bird's eye view and then head down into the details. And that's so there is not a quick decision here to be anxious about.
Okay.
But I appreciate you letting me know how you're feeling so that we can try to, form things a little bit better for sure.
Any other questions on that?
Well, I'm gonna get my last 2 cents in. I realize that we could be looking, there are advantages to the proposals that, we put out there. But I think you need to look at students and families, and money isn't everything.
Sure.
And I know that you know that. I know you're not, you're just looking at solving some of the things that are coming about in our community. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yes, but families and children are not forgotten in our minds throughout this. This is trying to kill, if we were trying to kill one bird, then it would be a lot easier. We're trying to kill multiple birds at the same time.
Yes.
And that's part of the problem, and that's why I think it leaves Deanna in the state that, that she feels too, is because of all the different things that we're trying to accomplish within the same thing. Because yes, we want preschool, and yes, we want to even up class sizes and also be good by taxpayer money at the same time. And so that's the problem, is trying to swirl all of that together is complex instead of leaving it really simple, like we're just wanting to do this,
Right.
or just want to do that. And so.
But it brings a lot of angst in.
It does,
So
for sure. For sure.
We just
Yep.
want you
Yep,
all
and it would bring even more angst if we weren't talking to the community, I feel.
I
Because
agree.
then you have a lot of angry people that didn't feel listened to. And the whole purpose of this, I'm not releasing, data saying, we're gonna do this, we hope you're happy about it. This is a collective ideas of the community coming together so that everybody feels like they're able to weigh that in. And that does leave people feeling uncomfortable, especially when they, feel like part of a plan or any of these plans, affects something that they care about. So I understand, for sure. Larry, last words.
Last words. I've heard the angst out there.
Sure.
Wanting to decide, let's go, one way or the other. Yeah, it's our last night, so it's probably not gonna happen tonight. I have got my feelings on the thing, but there's so many other things, that probably will come in on this before it's all over. But I guess I would urge the board to don't keep talking about it forever, because it needs to get decided and put behind us. Let's go. Not tonight, but soon. Soon, because I know that I've heard the teachers, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? They don't know, what's gonna happen. So we need to tell them.
So you're planning on putting that up to the public as it's presented tonight?
Yes, if the board's comfortable with that. And then bring this back in its same form to the new board so that discussions can move forward with our new board members.
So I don't know that you really need to vote on that, but you probably
I just need
a little bit of
consensus.
consensus on that. Is everybody comfortable with the document that is presented there?
Yeah.
Okay. You got your consensus out. Next item is the Board of Education Officers and Committee Assignment Reminder.
Yes, just reminding the board that January meeting every year, we have a vote for president and vice president. And so that will be on the agenda, and that is not something that myself as superintendent will give a recommendation on, and that is something that is strictly amongst the board level. It's best healthy for the district for myself and my staff to stay out of board leadership decisions. And on committee assignments, I've listed out kind of the committees that we brainstormed for next year to put have board members be a part of. We have food service. We have a food service contract coming out, facilities running again next year, negotiations, policy committee. We're going to start working on year 4 and year 5 of accreditation, and so that'd be good to get board leadership on that. Technology and virtual education, as Dr. Kern continues to grow that. And then obviously restructuring is a big topic that obviously we just discussed. So those are kind of committees that we're thinking about. If there are any other committees that the board feels would be important for this coming calendar year and board session, then I'd be happy to put those out for committee next year as well.
So you mentioned a restructuring committee. We don't currently have one. But
We do not.
But you're.
We're getting deeper in the process now.
Sure.
So I feel.
So you're looking at adding what, a couple board members and then some staff members to that?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that's just kind of there's a reminder.
It's just a reminder, yeah.
We'll move on to the outgoing Board of Education.
All right, we have 2 board members, Larry and Carol, who have served on the board for a number of years now, and so we just want to show you our appreciation. And you guys for years now have put yourselves forward for the students of our community, and that's why you're here every night. It's not for anything but that. And I know you guys have always had that in the back of your mind with every decision you've made along the way. And so we just want to tell you how much we appreciate all your work. It is a high-paying job. You get 0 paycheck, and the community's lashing out at you half the time about whatever our topic is at the time as we try to grow and be better. And so I just want to say that it's been great to continue to get to know you throughout this process, and appreciate you both being a part of giving me this opportunity, and respect you both very much. And our FFA students made some really neat things for you to take home, and so we'll get you up here. All right, Carol. And make these in the shop, it's pretty amazing. It's got the USD 353 BOE, and then it's got the years that they served on there. So for Carol, 2013 to 2021.
I think. Oh, it's not as heavy as it looks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I'll be in there.
Good work.
Thank you.
And Larry, same years. You guys put up with each other the same years?
We did.
And we even were on construction together, you know.
That's right.
Extra meetings.
Wow. Megan, 2013, 2021.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. They do a good job with this. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for posting.
That's awesome, guys.
You can do it.
You're gonna change your email address.
I expect drawings regularly.
I'll send it.
Thank you both very much.
Okay, thanks, guys, we appreciate you taking some time to serve all these years, so some of us will be still here serving.
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
We do need people to heckle from the audience.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep us on our toes.
We'll come and heckle you.
Yes.
Moving on to action items, looks like the first thing we have is the technology contract.
Yes, I'll let Dr. Kern speak, but essentially in the planning session, we had a discussion about this. It was kind of board consensus that it would be best to enter into another 5-year contract with K-12. That contract has been placed into your packet, and at this point, we are ready to move forward with that and feel like everybody was pretty comfortable with that coming out of the planning session. So, Jen, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
I don't think so. We just need to let them know if we want to enter into another 5-year contract. The contract actually doesn't start until March, but we need to let them know ahead of time if we already want.
I just think on this K-12, I mean, obviously we're kind of fenced in, but we signed this new contract, I don't think we'll ever get away from K-12. That's just my opinion. I don't think we'll ever get out of doing any kind of internet and stuff without K-12. That's just, the more I looked into it, and looked at it, I don't think we'll ever get away from K-12.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Well, I did like the part that they're willing to mend some fences and work with you more, because that's essential.
Yes.
They need to do that.
Face-to-face contact, here to help with PD and help them understand the ticketing process.
I guess that's what I'm disappointed in. We're 5 years in and we're just now holding them accountable for the things that they should have been doing all along. And so I'm not very trusting of the new contract going in, because it doesn't sound like you guys are very happy with it for the first 5 years. So I'm
I think, kind of like we talked about before, it's just different than face-to-face. So having to troubleshoot over the phone is just a process that is different than the first year and a half was kind of rough, because they were getting to know us and we were getting to know them. We have come to make that process a lot better between the two of us, but a lot of it is, I think, just continuing to create those tickets, and know how to do that process. It has gotten a lot better since the beginning. Try to make it better.
I mean, the date for the letting them know was this month, but that's just if we're not, so.
Just if we're not, so if we
Really,
are,
we
yeah.
much have to vote on it to know that we are or not.
That's what I said, we're kind of fenced in, so.
Any other discussion on that?
I guess I make a motion that we approve the K-12 contract for 5 years.
Got a motion? Got a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion we need on that, or? Seeing none? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Next item on action items is the 2020-2021 USD 253 financial audit.
Yes. Harold was here, presented to you at the planning session, and gave you his contact for Any further explanation if you reached out to him or not? And so just putting the audit that he presented to you up for approval.
Any discussion on that? Go ahead, Chris.
I should have asked this before, but the motor fuel is just on the general fund, right?
Yes, I believe that's taken out of general fund.
Okay, just basically because of what fuel prices are doing. Do we just have one credit card for fuel that we use, the school uses?
I can check into that, but I'm pretty sure that, so we have the tank out at the bus barn. And so we actually buy fuel at a discounted rate and put it into the tank and then use that for.
But when they take it, obviously out of town and stuff, they have to fill up.
At a certain spot, not necessarily, no.
No.
We have not gone with one company on that I'm aware of.
So no one credit card?
No, that would be on district credit cards on whatever gas station is available.
My other question is, and I know it's kind of off the budget, but who takes care of making sure that oil changes are done in that?
Our maintenance guys.
Your maintenance?
Yep.
Okay, and then who takes care of this signing out of the vehicles?
So there are essentially, for the most part, two people that are in charge of the vehicle calendar. Luke, because he deals with all the activities and all that, and then Kaylee, who is our Secretary of Central Office. Those are the two main district points for checking out vehicles.
Is that done just by paper, or is it on the computer?
It's on a Google Calendar.
On the Google Calendar,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
That was my own deal, because I just know fuel's going crazy.
Yep, for sure.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? I'll entertain a motion on that.
I move that we approve the 2021 financial audit.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. Okay. Moving on to administrative reports. You got anything additional for administrative reports?
Yes, Dr. Kern became a grandmother today. That's,
It's been a great day.
She walked in and saw the soft seating in here, and she's
They got the furniture came in and
she's had a good day today.
lots of good stuff.
We got to see the baby on FaceTime. Pretty cute. So, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Any administrators have anything they want to add in on their stuff?
Thank you for the furniture.
It's awesome. Did you see it?
It looked,
Yeah.
No.
I want to see it in the classroom.
It's not in the
We can-
classroom.
we can
but it's
take it
still
after
in the
this.
hallway.
Okay.
Oh, it's in the classroom?
Not the soft.
Not the soft seating, but the other
Oh,
stuff that came in is. Yeah, we can take you in there.
Got new banners too.
Banners are in the gym. Yep, got those up. They look good. Really nice around here, for sure.
We'll be adding two championships to that tonight.
That's right.
We're up 29-4 in the 8th grade game, and we won the 7th grade game.
All right.
Okay.
I do have something real quick since Ms. Macias kind of bails out after executive session, but I seen for the second month in a row, the Kennedy Garden was in the admin report with a greenhouse, so that's great. We're gonna have a separate newsletter just for the Kennedy Garden, by the
I
way. It's
know,
growing.
and I toned down the pictures even, I have hundreds, but you guys will need to come over, we're gonna start planting things in the greenhouse in January when we come back from break, and the kids are so excited, and Cowley County just told us they had been wanting to start a greenhouse project, and so they said, well, instead of us building one, maybe we could collaborate on yours, and I was like, yes, so, I am so excited, the kids are very excited.
And Jillian, I love the kids' night in. That was,
Oh,
yes,
good.
that was really cool.
They had a blast. Teachers were exhausted. The kids had a blast. It was well worth it. I think I'm still picking up popcorn from it, but that's okay.
But what a nice thing to do for the parents.
It was super
The
fun.
kids had fun. You could tell, the pictures were great, but what a nice thing to do for the parents. So.
Yeah, it was fun. We thought they need a date night this time of year, or a kids' night off, so, yeah.
Okay. Looks like we're moving on to an executive session.
Make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel for 15 minutes to include Adam and the administration team. Regular meeting will resume at 7:31 p.m.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same. And I think we're meeting at the library, right?
Yes, that's right.
Approve the minutes of the November 8th meeting, approve payroll and bills, payroll $1,177,110.52, bills $660,033.38, transfers, vocational $50,000, at risk $150,000, approve new hires, Bridget Pitts, para, WHS, Dave Hamilton, assistant wrestling coach, WHS, Karen Wood, para, Eisenhower, Darcy Bacon, Director of Finance. Approve resignations, Kenny Bach, para, Chelsea McGuire, para. Approve position changes, Jamie Raines, food service at WMS to para at WMS.
That wasn't so bad.
Larry? Entertain a motion on that.
Should I make a move? I move we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, got a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Board member comments. Let's start on the other side of the room. All right, Larry? You got any comments? Last hurrah?
Last hurrah, our girls' basketball coach, Eric Adams, was a guest on the sports talk show up in Wichita last Wednesday. And I listened to it, it was great. He really represented us well. It was a good deal. Got us some good publicity.
There you go.
That's a great job.
Tom, you got anything?
You know, sadly, they're not here, but Crusader Radio, I've been listening to Crusader Radio a lot lately. Those guys do great. They're doing a good job over there.
Yeah, they do.
Students, the staff that help with that, they're doing an amazing job, so that's all I've got.
There you go.
Oh, there's just so much going on that's so cool in the schools, and I love reading the administrators' reports. I'm gonna miss that. And I appreciate all of you that I learned to know. I hadn't really, I knew who you were, but working with you on the board has been good. I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that administration and teachers and the rest of the staff, the hardworking staff, does. Two things I always told a new teacher that they needed to do. You need to be friends with the secretary and the custodian, the two most important people in their school.
Absolutely.
Well, I've enjoyed working with Carol and Larry, and I'm gonna miss you guys. And I also like reading the admin report, and she's not here tonight, but Lincoln is doing the little spot of confidence. And I like that because it's teaching them how to feel those feelings and how to just learn about themselves and how to work with themselves. And I really like that. And then the Kennedy Kids Night In. I really like that too. And I had a question about the tech report, really quick. Okay. Do the elementary schools have color printers, or is it just the high school?
It is just the high school, and that is part of their pathway deal. And then we have one at central office.
Is there any way to get one for the elementary schools? And the reason why I'm asking is because I know a lot of the teachers have a hard time, when they're printing, making copies. They need that color to make some of the things work better on the printed page than a black and white page would do. I mean, even if it's just saying you have a quota, you can only have so many a month. I mean, just to get them some colored paper.
Yeah, that has been something that has been talked about for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we have color at central office if they need it. It's a difference of 3 cents a sheet versus 25 cents a sheet. Very expensive to print in color.
Yeah.
So we kind of we have it available for important things, if they need to come over and print that, but you probably would notice there's a lot that accidentally gets printed. I mean, there's not a way to police it to make sure that there's not a lot of waste, I guess. So that's kind of how we had to.
Okay.
I think Larry's just processing the 25 cents a sheet when he prints off his Google
Water it down
Maps.
the hall. I'm passing.
You're passing? Okay. I guess I would echo what Tom was saying. I'm a little biased on the Crusader Radio. I got a young one that's participating on that at the middle school level. It's great to see Mr. Jenkins showing up 3 days a week, getting those kids in there. It's awesome to see what those kids are doing. And they've really pushed it in the high school and more and more all the time. It's really good to see. So.
For sure.
I like to sit down with the suit.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know what the questions the kids are.
Oh, wow.
So I always have to.
Every time we're like,
What's a good picture? So, no, it is good. No, that's nice to be able to get information out. We had to do it a little bit early this month just because of the break, and so it's nice to do it after the board meeting so I can talk about what the things that, happen at this level. And we had to do it, this month's show had to be a little bit pre-done, unfortunately, so it's a little less informative, but it's still great. And the kids, get to do it with the high school kids, and they're amazing. They do amazing things with them. So I agree.
And then I would echo also, it's been a pleasure serving Carol and Mary.
Absolutely, yeah.
And best of luck in your next ventures. And with that, we're adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Merry gifts. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy your gifts.